In 2026, the health halo surrounding meat alternatives is being dismantled by a new wave of nutritional transparency. While many consumers switch to plant-based options to avoid the perceived heaviness of beef, the reality of the industrial manufacturing process tells a different story. To make plants mimic the cellular structure, sizzle, and sear of animal protein, manufacturers often rely on an extensive list of chemical stabilizers, ultra-refined oils, and synthetic additives. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great! Thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. Here are 7 plant-based burgers that are actually more processed than a standard beef patty. 1. The methylcellulose structural hybrid. Why? To prevent a vegetable-based burger from falling apart on the grill, manufacturers in 2026 rely heavily on methylcellulose, a bulk-forming agent often used in laxatives. In a standard beef patty, the natural proteins in the meat bind together during the grinding and cooking process. In contrast, plant proteins are naturally granular and require a chemical glue to create a cohesive mouthfeel. Methylcellulose is a chemically modified cellulose that gels when heated and thins when cooled, providing a structural mimicry of animal connective tissue. However, because it is a synthetic compound produced in a laboratory, it qualifies the patty as an ultra-processed food, UPF. While beef is a single-ingredient whole food, this hybrid is a complex chemical matrix that requires industrial intervention just to maintain its circular shape under high heat. 2. The refined coconut oil fat marble. Why? The characteristic juiciness of a beef burger comes from intramuscular fat, but plant proteins are inherently lean and dry. To replicate the drip of a medium-rare burger, 2026 plant-based brands use high concentrations of refined coconut oil and canola oil. These oils are processed at high temperatures and treated with bleaching agents and deodorizers to remove their natural scent and flavor. When you look at the raw patty, the white flecks you see aren't natural suet. They are solid beads of saturated plant fat engineered to melt at the exact temperature of beef fat. This results in a burger that contains as much or more saturated fat than a lean beef patty, but with the added baggage of industrial refining processes that strip the oils of their original antioxidant properties. 3. The isolated soy protein concentrate. Why? While whole soybeans are a nutritious staple, the soy protein isolates found in many frozen plant burgers are a different beast entirely. In 2026, the process of isolating the protein involves bathing the soy in hexane, a chemical solvent and byproduct of gasoline refining, to strip away the fats and carbohydrates. What remains is a highly concentrated protein powder that lacks the fiber, vitamins, and minerals found in the original bean. Manufacturers then retexture this powder using a process called high-moisture extrusion, which uses extreme heat and pressure to force the soy into fibrous strands that look like muscle. This mechanical and chemical manipulation turns a simple legume into a highly stripped-down industrial ingredient that the human body processes very differently than a whole food. 4. The yeast extract umami mimic. Why? Beef possesses a natural depth of flavor known as umami, which develops as proteins break down during cooking. Plant-based burgers lack this biological complexity, so they are often dosed with autolyzed yeast extract, disodium inosonate, and guanylate. These are concentrated flavor enhancers designed to hyperstimulate the savory receptors on your tongue. In 2026, these natural flavors are often a legal loophole used to hide the fact that the savory taste is being manufactured in a vial rather than over a flame. While a beef patty's flavor comes from the meat itself, the plant-based savory profile is a carefully curated cocktail of lab-created chemicals meant to trick the brain into thinking it is consuming a high-protein animal source, making it a masterpiece of sensory deception. 5. The titanium dioxide whitener. Why? Achieving the right visual aesthetic is a major hurdle for plant-based meat in 2026. Many plant proteins, such as those derived from peas or brown rice, have an unappealing gray or greenish tint after processing. To make the patty look fresh, and prevent it from looking like a slab of wet cardboard, companies use titanium dioxide or other mineral-based whitening agents to provide a clean canvas for artificial colorings like beet juice extract or annatto. While these coloring agents might be natural, the sheer amount of color correction required to make a pilau. 6. The carrageenan thickening agent. Why? Texture is the final frontier of the burger wars, and many plant-based brands use carrageenan, an extract from red seaweed, to provide a bouncy and chewy texture. While seaweed sounds healthy, carrageenan is a highly processed hydrocolloid that has been the subject of ongoing nutritional debate regarding its impact on gut inflammation. In 2026, it is used as a stabilizer to hold the water and oil emulsion together in the patty so it doesn't leak or dry out. This gel-like architecture is necessary because plant fibers are naturally rigid, unlike the pliable fibers of animal muscle. By using these industrial thickeners, manufacturers create a product that is more akin to a solidified protein shake than a traditional piece of meat, relying on seaweed extracts to provide a structural integrity that plants simply don't have on their own. 7. The leg hemoglobin bioengineering. Why? Perhaps the most processed element of the 2026 plant-based market is the use of soy leg hemoglobin, often referred to as heme. This is the ingredient that allows a burger to bleed. It isn't harvested from fields. It is created by taking the DNA from soy roots and inserting it into a genetically engineered yeast strain. This yeast is then fermented in massive bioreactors, similar to a brewery, to brew the heme. While it successfully replicates the metallic taste of blood, it is a completely novel food ingredient that did not exist in the human diet until a few years ago. This represents the pinnacle of food processing, a burger whose sole or primary flavor profile is a product of genetic engineering and industrial fermentation, standing in stark contrast to the singular, biological simplicity of a grass-fed beef patty. The dominance of plant-based burgers in the 2026 market highlights a fascinating paradox. In the pursuit of a cleaner and more ethical meal, many consumers have traded a single-ingredient whole food for a masterpiece of chemical engineering. While the environmental benefits of reducing cattle reliance are well documented, the nutritional trade-off involves moving toward ultra-processed foods, UPFs, that the human body isn't evolutionarily designed to recognize. A standard beef patty remains a baseline of biological simplicity, muscle, and fat. In contrast, the high-tech plant burgers of today are built on a foundation of stripped protein isolates, bleached oils, and bioengineered catalysts. This level of industrial intervention is required to overcome the inherent plant-like qualities of the ingredients, forcing them into a meat-shaped mold through extreme heat, pressure, and chemical binding. As we move further into 2026, the savvy diner must distinguish between vegan and healthy. Choosing a plant-based option for the planet is a noble goal, but doing so under the guise of avoiding processed food is a fundamental misunderstanding of modern food science. Real health in the burger aisle is found by looking past the front-of-box claims and scrutinizing the labor-intensive list of additives required to make a plant bleed.